Good morning, everyone. I'm really glad to be here, and I would like to propose you for the next 20 minutes to go across 4 steps. Would be to see what are SMEs, small and medium-sized enterprises, and what do we think we know about SMEs. So in a second time, to discuss a bit the recent trend in SME performance and business dynamics, building on the work we recently done on SME and entrepreneurship outlook. And then discussing a bit what makes SME strong, what are the opportunity and streets that innovation, digitalization, and globalization could bring them. And in the last step, to start to try to think and look a bit forward and discussing about measurement challenges and the role and the contribution of SMEs to the Sustainable Development Goals. So starting first by what are SMEs? What are small and medium-sized enterprises? Well, to some extent, it's almost everything, because nearly 99% of firms have less than 250 employees, which is the official definition of SMEs. And in most OECD countries, it's almost all firms. So typically, if we want to have a rough idea of what an SME is, it's a firm with 5 employees. If we look at the SME sector across OECD countries, the structure of the SME sector is relatively common. It has remained very stable over time, over the last years. It's basically 5 sectors: wholesale and retail trade, construction, accommodation, food, professional services, and manufacturing that account for 60% of SME employment. However, beyond this figure, there is a high heterogeneity in the type of firms, in the type of sector where they are operating, and in the way they perform. But what we could keep in mind to not be lost in this heterogeneity is that basically SM is concentrated in market services. And why is this? It's because this sector, these services require less skills, less capital, and less assets to operate. So this brings me to this question: what makes SMEs performant? What determines the activity and the capacity to be profitable, to grow businesses, or to export? Well, first, business environment, institutional and regulatory framework, market conditions, infrastructures. And then, as I just said, the capacity to access strategic resources, skills, finance, capital, and innovation assets, including data, technology, and networks. And last but not least, the efficiency of policy, of SME and entrepreneurship policy governance. So to some extent, the determinant, the driver of SME's performance is a very broad and complex nexus of drivers, which is here. I won't enter into details because we could spend hours discussing this, but in each of these broad dimension I presented you just before, you can find other drivers, other dimension, and other areas that could be determinant for SME's operations. So, looking at a first criteria of performance, it's employment. If we look at employment growth between 2010 and 2016 in OECD country, and we try to understand where the employment growth came from, there are 2 aspects. One is an increasing number of firms, new firms entering the markets, and another driver is firm growing up, scaling up, employing. And if we look on one side to SMEs and on the other side to large firms, we can see actually for the services sector that one of the main drivers of employment growth in services has been SMEs, being by new firm creation, or by firms growing up in sizes. And to a lesser extent, large firms. Looking at another sector where traditionally SMEs are also dominant, construction, we get roughly the same pictures. So SMEs have been a driver of employment by firm creation. Looking at another sector, the picture is slightly different. Manufacturing. Manufacturing is a sector where SMEs are less numerous, less dominant, and for a very good reason. It's a sector where a firm needs more capital to operate. meaning that they need to reach a higher, larger scale, a larger size, to be able to absorb the cost of investment and of capital. So in this sector, still, SMEs have been an important driver of growth, even if it's not true across all countries and less true for services, market services. A bit too many animation, maybe. So if we look now to firm creation, new firm creation are back to pre-crisis level. It's true in almost all countries, and in some countries, they have more firm creation now than before the crisis, before 2018. So the trends are very positive. That said, if we look behind, we see that firms are born smaller, meaning that if they are born smaller, they are less likely to be productive, because to some extent, productivity increases with the firm size. Another finding, important finding, is that the new jobs have been created in low productive sectors. If you look at this chart here, you see the percentage of job by firm creation that has been created in a sector with above median productivity, meaning the most productive sector. And you see that in most countries, less than 25% of the new jobs have been created in these productive sectors. And in all countries for which we have data, less than 50%. So the majority of new jobs, are created in a low productive sector, which means that low productive jobs translate into low productive, low paid job. And if we look at the dispersion of job creation by wages, between 2010 and 2016, the percentage of new jobs created in activities with low salaries is extremely high. I mean, what does it mean? In France, it's close to 90% of the new jobs that have been created in sectors with low wages. In the US, 3/4 of the new jobs. In UK or Germany, it's 2/3 of the new jobs. And this is providing us new light on the wage stagnation that we are observing in OECD countries. Wages are not growing up, while at the same time we are at a time when employment is recovering, the economic growth is back on track, even if it's still a bit weak as per historical standard. But wages are stalled, and this may be one of the explanations beyond this wage stagnation. But this is also is raising some concern, because we know that incomes and socioeconomic background has an impact on people's ability and access to education and training, on people's willingness to adopt new technology and their perception and acceptance of globalization. And it has also very far-reaching impact, for instance, on the pension systems and on our socioeconomic systems. So what is the solution? Innovation. Innovation is the key. Is a key to increase productivity. And if we look again into more details, and we look at the productivity gap between small firms and large firms. Here you see that the 100 is the level of productivity in large firms. And you can compare by years, by country, and by firm size, the level, so this productivity gap between these small firms that are likely to be less productive and large firms that are more productive. And here, in this specific case, I look into the professional and science and technology activity, which are high-skilled and highly innovating activities. And you can see that, on the contrary, SME tend to outperform large firms. And it is true in almost all countries and over time. So we here have a clue. SME can also be more innovative than large firms. If we look at the type of innovation they perform, we tend to say that SMEs are more innovative for non-technological innovation, meaning organizational changes, marketing. And this is also because they need less capital and less technology to be innovative in this specific sector. It's also because this is a type of innovation that takes place in services where SMEs are more prominent. So if we look here at the percentage of firms that are innovating, introducing organizational and marketing changes, these are 2016 data, SMEs as compared to large firms, Here on the, for you it's right scale, you see that small firms are in almost all countries more innovative than large firms. If we look at technological innovation that tend to take place in manufacturing services still, you see that in some countries, SMEs are still more innovative than large firms. What makes the difference? If it's for combining these different modes of innovation, being at the same time technologically and non-technologically innovative. And this is in this era that SMEs struggle to some extent competing with large firms. Why? Because this needs for them to combine a larger portfolio of assets, more capital, more different skills, more finance. Digitalization could be an option, could be a solution, because it's actually bringing new opportunity for SMEs to take part in innovation. Why? Because digitalization is currently altering clients' behavior, expectation, demand, and also production processes. Digitalization allows more product differentiation, having a more customer-centric approach, and more enhanced customer experience. I give you an example, big data. All our activity on the internet left a digital footprint and create data. And this data could provide new information, new knowledge on customer behavior and customer expectation, and then provide to some extent a more differentiated but also a better targeted offer supply. Another changes digitalization is bringing, it's digital tools help reduce the distance and the time to the market. So to some extent, it will favor firms that are more reactive. And more reactive means to some extent smaller, because you have less decisional processes in place. Digitalization, if you have more reactive supply chain and shorter distance and time to market, you also need to adapt your supply chain and factories. And then the digital tools helps connect the final demand, the customer, the shop, to the factory, and to speed the time for processing the information from, well, there is a product missing on the shelf, and the factory needs to produce, and logistic needs to bring the product to the shop. Digitalization could also support networks and collaboration. And for instance, the open sourcing, software open sources, one of the most, I would say, common or popular example, could help firm and smaller firm to access a technology, a software, an information without needing reaching or scaling up in terms of size. And last but not least, digitalization, as I said, creates data. And these data are becoming a new value, a new assets, which means also having more digital tools to manage this data, to capture this data, store this data, and protect this data. Digitalization can support internationalization. SMEs are often said as less likely to be involved in export and international trade. But if we look at indirect export, not direct export, meaning SMEs selling abroad, but selling to direct exporter, the contribution and the participation to SMEs in international trade is completely different. It's much more prominent. Digitalization could help them achieve scales without the mass they needed before to absorb and incur trade costs. Digital platform, for instance, could help them operate locally, but sell globally. And integration into the global value chain could help them reduce trade costs and reduce the input cost, but also as they are small and more specialized, they could help them occupy and operate in very small niche markets. And last but not least, this global value chain and the connection with multinational and international market could help them lower the cost for accessing technology, knowledge, and finance. Yet, this is the opportunity side. But now, if we look at the issue and the streets, the first one and the major one is that SME lagging behind in the digital transition. If we look at ICT surveys and the percentage of firms that are active on using certain type of tools or performing certain digital enhanced activities, the picture is the same across all technology and across all countries. The smaller, the less likely they are to be digital active or digital advanced. Here you have the percentage of firms purchasing cloud computing services, using enterprise resource software, using the big data analytics, and the picture is all the same across all countries. The smaller and the less active they are. Another element of concern is if we look at the result of the adult skills survey, it appears that 2/3 of adult working age population in the OECD lack the skills needed to operate in a digital environment. So it brings us to raise the question, what about training? And here, again, it's a source of concern. There have been little progress made in providing ICT training within enterprises. It's true across all firm size, small, medium, or large firm. And the change have been really, really small across all countries over the past 5 years. Last but not least, SME could be a weak node in complex system. These are all a bit old data, but I like this chart very much because it's very explicit in the message it delivers. We look at mobile broadband subscription, meaning more people connecting to mobile broadband. And at the same time, we look at the percentage of firms reporting digital security issue in their firms. And you see that across all countries, there is a clear connection. Then the more connected, the more vulnerable the digital infrastructure becomes. We are at a time when mobile broadband subscription have been multiplied by 5 in 8 years. There is a new generation of 5G mobile networks that is coming with a great potential for producing and exploiting data. We are thinking and building smart city where increasingly the infrastructure become hybrid with an integration of energy, transport, and the digital world. And in this environment, SMEs are less likely to have cybersecurity and data protection strategy. So looking forward now, the first issue I've been very light on this is the measurement challenges. Why? Because we need to better understand what are SMEs. I said it's a very heterogeneous population, but I didn't enter into detail. Otherwise, I mean, there will be almost no messaging. We get lost into the multiple type of firms that operate in this sector. But we need to better understand what are the SMEs, how they perform, and to which extent the business environment and policy could help them perform better and scale up activities. We need more data, we need more granular data. And we need also to face the confidentiality issues with data when we start digging into details. And the second line of thinking or discussion is to which extent we could link SMEs with sustainable development goals. So, to which extent could we go beyond the most economic SDGs? Just what I didn't do right now. It's discussing about something else, that decent work, economic growth, innovation, infrastructure, so the SDG 8 and 9. And for an example, how could we think about SMEs as key actors in the transition toward a low-carbon economy? They are local actors with an environmental footprint. How could we think about greening their processes and their product? How could we think in terms of taking advantage of SME proximity and to some extent building circular economy or delivering health and healthcare services? SMEs are urgent in smart city and smart grids. How could we ensure that will not become this weak node that I just referred to? And something apart, but still in some area, SMEs are the key actor in research and development, in biotechnology, in pharmaceuticals, in nanotechnology. R&D take place in very small firms. So these are some ideas to think about. Thank you very much.